So, same as always, I got questions for the Reformed or the Calvinist or the TULIP people. 2 Peter 1:10 through 13. Here's a few versions, different versions. Therefore, brothers, be all the more diligent to make your calling and choosing or election sure. Why is Peter not sure about his election? I mean, if he's a Calvinist, right? Reformer. He should know that election is absolute, guaranteed, locked in stone, couldn't be otherwise, decreed. God did it in eternity past. You're already in Christ before the foundation of the world. But you got to do something. You got to make your calling sure. Not sure exactly why Peter, pretty smart Christian, would write those words if Calvinism is true. In doing these things, you will never stumble. Now, maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's what the reformers would say. See, he just doesn't want you to stumble. But then again, I have to say, I have to say, how can you stumble? Right? Only if it's been decreed. It's not like you have control over when you can, make the right kinds of decisions that hinder you from stumbling. And it seems to me this is a way of Christian life, but all of this seems to say you have an important role in making decisions that will help guide and lead and, bring about your Christian life. But if everything's been predetermined, then how is that true in Calvinism, Reformed, TULIP theology? Let's see what the New King James says. Brethren, be even more diligent to make your call and election. Well, there it is. Make sure you don't stumble. For this reason, I will not be negligent to remind you always of these things. Isn't that funny? Again, against Reformed, TULIP, Calvinist theology. In what way does any Christian, if Calvinism, Reform theology is true, why do they need to be reminded? Aren't they in stone? Isn't their decree going to happen? Don't they learn as Calvinists that what's going to happen is going to happen? Sometimes you'll sin, sometimes you'll come up short, sometimes you'll make mistakes, but that's all part of God's glory and sovereignty and purpose and plan and beginning from end. But it seems to me that Peter says, no. I got to keep reminding you, because people with free will, people that, are easily misled, misguided, have to make decisions on their own, can be confused by false teachers or incorrect thinking. I got to keep reminding you of these things. But again, in Reformed theology, it doesn't make sense. Again, you don't need to see all of, here. Now, why did I put Galatians 4:8-9? Oh, this has to do with, notice, if election is true in Calvinism, this is this weird two verses. Formerly, when you did not know God, but wait a minute, I thought they were elect in eternity past. I thought God always knew them. I thought they were special and loved and, in his plan but no, formerly when you did not know God, you were slaves. So you were outside of Christ. You were outside of election. You were slaves in a different world. Yeah, it doesn't sound like you were thought of. It doesn't sound like you were high on the election list. But now, a different time frame. Now that you do know God, or rather there's the nail in the coffin, or rather that you are known by God. Okay, what do we do with these verses, Calvinist, Reformed, TULIP people? Why would Paul, why would Peter say these things if they're Calvinists, Reformers, TULIPers?